Hi, my name is Steven and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about what I plan to do in my 40s, planning out my future. I'm not in my 40s yet, but that decade is fast approaching for me, and I thought a lot about what I wanted to do in my 40s even though it's a few years away. People in their 40s often describe it as the decade of self-reflection. It's supposedly a time in your life when you have all of your stuff together, and you have the maturity, wisdom, and seasoned ambition to know what you want in life. But that means once you have attained that lifestyle and you know your life, then you might get into a midlife crisis. So planning out your 40s and knowing what your goals are for that decade can help mitigate that. And it provides you a roadmap or a path to help you guide through what you actually want to do during that decade. A lot of people don't plan out their lives so meticulously. They often ask the question, why plan out your 40s even though it's a couple of years away? I think that with a little bit of foresight, anybody can strategically plan out their lives for the future. And the more that they plan or think through what they want to do, the better their life satisfaction will be. Planning out my 40s not only gives me a guide, but can help me understand my near-term goals in life and look at some upcoming goals that I might want to do in my 40s so that I can align my future goals with my current goals. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about my background, what I want to do in my 40s, and my general thoughts. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, hit that notification bell if you'd like this content. And let's go. The 40s are really a pivotal decade for any person's life. It's the age at which you're really in the middle of your life. And a lot of things converge during that time, so it's also a really stressful decade as well. And this period of life has a lot of changes, both in your personal and professional background. In essence, your 40s become intertwined with both your past and your future. And it's a transformative period in which you can actually take a look at your life and see where you want to head towards the future. You're at a point in which you're mature enough and you know what you want to do and you know what you don't want to do in life. But you're not old enough not to be able to take chances on riskier things that you always wanted to do. In our 40s, we still have time to change course in our lives if we so choose to. But that means we have to do our best to give ourselves a roadmap of what is possible in our 40s. I want to avoid the dreaded midlife crisis in my 40s as best as I can. I can almost start to feel this dread even in my late 30s. And I want to make sure that I have a solid purpose and passion for my life goals in the future. I don't want to get caught up just doing the same things over and over and not changing or adapting to new situations. The worst thing that I can do is blindly enter my 40s with nothing planned as a life goal, because then I'll just be reacting to whatever comes my way with no sense of urgency for myself. That can lead me to really question what am I doing with my life and fall into that midlife crisis that I want to avoid. But with a guide, I can be more deliberate in my choices for the future and be less anxious and stressed when my 40s are actually here. So here's what I want to do in my 40s. Number one, be better at music. I've always wanted to learn an instrument and I've been slowly practicing in my 30s, but I think 40s are the decade to actually do it. As a goal, I want to get better at playing the piano in my 40s. Learning music at a later age is also a great way to flex that mental ability, and it can stave off the worst aspects of cognitive decline as we age. Additionally, I think playing the piano can resolve a lot of stress and anxiety throughout my life, and provide a stress and emotional relief during the tough times during the year. This, I think, can be particularly useful as I'm entering middle age and there's a lot of stresses on my life. But the grander goal is to just get better at a skill that I've never had before. I want to be able to pick up a new skill whenever I can as long as it aligns with my passions in life. Being able to continuously do new things will be great for my overall mental well-being. I've dabbled in playing the piano prior to the pandemic when I had a lot of free time on my hands. But nowadays, I've essentially prioritized other things rather than learning a musical instrument. But my lifelong dream is to get better at playing the piano and eventually sing at nightclubs. This means that in order to achieve my dream, I really have to practice at piano and singing as well into my 40s. I think my 40s are going to be a better time in learning this skill because I don't have a lot of heavy family and work obligations. Obviously things can change, but at least my child will be a lot older by then. And I think that once my experience increases, then I'll be able to learn a lot faster than I'm doing right now. And I can also give myself a time horizon to slowly learn that skill instead of jamming it all in a couple of years. So definitely something in my 40s I want to do is get back into learning a musical instrument. Number two, know my career path. Gaining a better understanding of where I want to go in my career path is going to be critical in my 40s. At this stage in my life, I would have had a lot of work experience, and now I just have to figure out where I need to apply that work experience to. This basically means that I want to find the right job with my strong skill sets, and hopefully be in a position where I could grow and advance rapidly. When you take the time to evaluate your career, you can find better growth opportunities that you didn't know once existed, and overall lead you to a more purposeful work life. And crucially, it helps you align your career with your personal values as well. But this introspection to figure out where you want to grow in your career can take years, maybe decades. It's a continuous ongoing journey of self-discovery. During the pandemic, I really had a crisis in where my career was going. I gained early success in my career and achieved my goals, but I didn't know where I wanted to take it into the future. What was the next thing that I wanted to do? What was the next career milestone that I wanted to hit? It was a perfect time for a job change to see what I actually wanted to do in life. And so recently, I've been experimenting with different types of roles and situations to figure out what my skill sets are truly applicable for. I'm not there yet, but I do have a couple of years before my 40s start to know what I want to do for my career. So that in my 40s, I can work on being my best self at work in my chosen passion, and really figure out what can excite me and sustain me in that chosen career for the long term. Even that goal might change 5 years down the line, but at least I want to know going into my 40s. So what I really want to do when I hit my 40s is know my career path. Number 3, work on the next thing. In my 40s, I want to know what is the next big thing that I want to work on in my life outside of my career and family. Every 5 years or so, I take on a big project and I want to take it to completion. When I'm in my 40s, I'm going to have a lot of experience under my belt, so I need to figure out what the next big thing for my life will be. I want to be able to take on a new opportunity outside of my current skill sets and make myself better at it. And this is great because the next opportunity can help you get better at something you've never done before and opens up another possibility in your life. And it's also a case when you can take on new challenges and make you feel more alive and excited about life again. Because your 40s doesn't have to be routine at all. For me, every few years, I take on a big goal and see whether or not I can knock it out of the park. In my early 20s, it was all about side income and starting a business. In my late 20s, it was all about dating and starting a tiny house Airbnb. And early on in my 30s, I decided to create my own YouTube channel. So in my late 30s and 40s, I want to find the next thing that I want to work on. A grand goal that makes me feel proud of what I achieved when I'm older in life. I want to be able to look back on my deathbed and see that I maximized my time on this earth. So I want to start a multi-year long project and see the end product. I'm not sure what that exactly will be, but it'll be very creative in nature. So I definitely want to start another grand project as I head into my 40s. And number 4, enjoy life. My last noble goal is to embrace and enjoy my life in my 40s. Because I know in my 40s, a big component to my well-being is going to be enjoying life. I want to be able to have the self-awareness and have a deep appreciation of those around me and my life overall. And taking time to reflect and look back all that I've accomplished in my 40s is a great decade to do so. And crucially, give me a springboard to have a more positive outlook in my 50s and beyond. Because what good is living life if you don't enjoy the journey that you're on? And I think in my 40s, it's finally time to have my cake and eat it too. I'm not joking when I say I have a tough time relaxing and enjoying life. As a child, I didn't see my parents enjoying life that much, so I don't really have a template on how to actually enjoy life. I just saw my parents working hard and doing the daily grind throughout every single decade. And for most of my adulthood, I've taken that approach as well. But my life as it currently stands are vastly different than my parents' life. And I can afford the opportunity to slow down where they couldn't have. So that means I need to really enjoy my life when I have the time available to me. This means I don't need to work as hard or push myself when I don't need to, and to focus more of my attention on my family in my 40s. In my 20s and 30s, I worked really hard to get where I am today, so I can finally start to enjoy the fruits of my labor now and into my 40s. Overall, I can choose a less tiring or stressful path than my parents. So I think a big goal of mine in my 40s is to just enjoy life as best as I can. So here are my general thoughts on what I want to do in my 40s. Talking to people in their 40s, life does not get easier at all. With family obligations, work stress, and declining health, it can be a tumultuous decade. And overall, people's life satisfaction plummets dramatically in their 40s. Knowing this, I'm doing whatever I can to make sure that I'm prepared for what's ahead. And what type of particular lifestyle to avoid to maximize my enjoyment in my 40s. Because there are those who let life happen to them without any planning or foresight. And they get locked into a routine and situation that they might not enjoy. And that can have really bad consequences on their life satisfaction. Ultimately, I think having a vision or planning out what you want to do from decade to decade is the best path to take. Because in this case, you're proactive to the situation and not reactive to those external circumstances around you. But even if you plan out things really well, life can throw you wrenches along the way. I fully expect my plans are going to change along the ways in my 40s. And definitely not be able to complete all the things that I want to do in my 40s. Knowing this, I just have to be flexible along the journey of life and change my plans according to the situation that I'm in. And I want to make sure that I don't get disappointed when things don't go my way that decade. But at the end of the day, planning things out is only a guide or a potential path. There are an unlimited amount of paths you can take in your 40s. And sometimes that's just the way life goes. So those are some of the things that I want to do in my 40s. The 40s can be a decade packed with stressors in your life, and it has been routinely listed as one of the most difficult decades to go through. It's a period of time in which people are the least satisfied with their overall life. I don't hope to change that mindset for myself, but I can make it more bearable as I head into my 40s. And that means by planning out things that I want to do during that decade to mitigate the worst effects of a midlife crisis. If I'm not able to meet those plans, then I'll adapt along the way and figure out new things that I might want to do. But the goal is to figure out what I want to do, plan my future, and be in the driver's seat as I head into my 40s. This is just too important of a decade not to take control of my life and figure out what I actually want to do. So thank you for watching. Please leave a comment down below on what do you do in your 40s if you're there, and what would you change about your 40s. And I'll see you next time.